Hello all. This calculation is for down payment calculator. And here it is. Let's see what it means. Is that you have $100,000 and you know that this $100,000, if a house requires 20% down payment, how much of a house, what should be the price of the house that you can afford buying it? We know that the house should be, this is what the house is supposed to be. And the reason I say that is because 20% of this house is 86. If you use your calculator and say, what is the 20% of this one times 20%, it is 86,000. However, why did we say you have 100,000? Because you need money for the closing costs. Therefore, this calculator takes into consideration your closing costs and all those things. Therefore, let's see how it works. This is $100,000 you have, and you go to the real estate agent and you say, I need to buy a house. And real estate agent and say, this $100,000 of money that you have, what is the maximum price of the house that you can buy? The real estate agent would tell you that 20% you have to put down. Also, your closing cost would be around 3%, or it might be she or he might be tell you in terms of dollar, but we go with 20%, 3%. And the real estate is telling you that is interest rates are at 6.31, and it's we go with a 30-year loan, we click calculate. After we click calculate, the real estate agent says that here is the price of the house that you can buy, because 20% of that is 86,000, and then it will be your closing cost, which was 3%, is here. If you add this 86 with this 13, you get your $100,000. And of course, as you all know, your salary as well, plays a role. It is just your down payment. Let me assure you, you have to have at least an income of $300,000 a year. That way, the banker to sell this house, to give you this mortgage. Why do I say that? The bankers usually like to multiply, your mortgage, your annual salary, sorry that I said regarding this 300,000. And they look at, your monthly payment, and they want to, the annual payment of this monthly payment is $24,000. Let's say if you multiply almost, think about 30,000. They multiply this 30,000 by 3, that is 90,000. They like to see that your income is $90,000. Therefore, do not think that necessarily your down payment is for sure going to get you the house, but it is just for you to have a sense of how this calculator is doing. You may be asking, what are these are going to do? This is based on a condition that the house requires 20% down. Now, if you tell the real estate agent that you want to put 15% down, how much the maximum price of the house can be? It is 555, which means in that case 83,000 goes for the down payment, 16 goes for closing costs. If you add these two, you get your $100,000 here. And of course, one of the ones that has the lowest, down payment, is FHA loans. That is, then you can buy a very expensive house. And of course, you do not want to. You always have to see if you can afford. And in that case, if you buy this, the reason for that is that now you see how much your monthly payment is, and how much the bank would ask you to, your salary should be. A bank would multiply this number by 12. When they multiply, think about this 10,000 by 12, that's your annual monthly payment. That is 120,000. They want usually your salary to be 3 times more than what you make annually. That means they multiply 120 by 3, $360,000. which means usually it's a rough estimate. Of course, it depends on other loans that you have. If you have a car payment, the student loan, credit card, then they won't, they would say that your money, you won't be able to buy this house even with, $360,000. It's just a, some idea that to tell you how it works. Now, you can think about it. Let's say you think about it as yourself. Let's say you have about $30,000 down. $30,000, a down payment, cash available, and you want to buy a house. You want to know this 30%, $30,000, how much of a loan is going to get you. And that is, the bank would tell you that, the maximum price of the house for that 20% of that is 130,000, because 20% of this, is 26,000 is the down payment. It did in 20% of the price of the house. Do you see that? The price of the house is 130,000. 20% of that, is 26, and then closing cost 3%. And of course, if this change also, then the whole scenario will change in here. I want you to, do your calculation, put a number, but when you put it on the discussion board, write it and say, I have $30,000, I want to buy a house, and my down payment is 20%. The maximum price of the house I can buy is 130, and your monthly payment would be 650. According to what I told you, if you remember, the bankers, to give you a loan, they multiply this 650 by 12, that might come to 8,000, so that will come to, let's say, $8,000. They multiply 8,000, to by 12 by 3, and that's the way they calculate, And then these are, and as I told you, I want you to read this and try to see, these are additional calculators. This is a straightforward. It says that if the home price is $500,000, you want to put, 20% down, it is this. And then it will add the closing cost. Therefore, in this case, it is a little different, is that the agent will come and tell you that you have to come up with $115,000 of cash. This is a little bit reverse of that. Do you know why? Because the home price is here. If you look at here on this one, you have cash up front available. I want you to think about, these are different scenarios, but, it's great to understand how these work.